Hello and welcome to the stream, everybody. I'll draw a little scene today using a variety of pencils, a smudging tool, and some erasers. So, without further ado, let's go right into it. Put all this away. All right. I'll start, as always, by drawing a nice little frame, some boundaries for me to stick to. Okay, next is a horizon line. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. Just to change things up a little bit, I'm going to place it in the middle of my frame. And now I'll start with the horizon, making it medium dark at the top of the drawing, and then making it brighter as it goes towards the horizon. I'm just going left to right, right to left, decreasing the pressure on the pencil. Trying not to leave too many spaces between the lines. Now let's see, I'm going from the horizon up, increasing the pressure. And that gives me a nice transition for the sky. Since directly above the horizon, it's always or mostly very misty, and so the horizon appears almost white, or the sky above the horizon appears almost white 99% of the time. Okay, now I'm taking the smudging tool and I'm going left to right, right to left again, starting at the top, trying to get rid of any line structure that is left in the sky, trying to make it really smooth. And now I shouldn't go from the horizon up. I'll always go from the top down, grabbing a little bit of graphite and pulling that down. That's going to make the transition a little less strong. It's going to bring a little more graphite to the area above the horizon. But if we make it roundabout like this, a transition remains from the top to the bottom. Okay. Next thing I want to do is get a cloud up in here. Maybe this one is right in the middle of the drawing. I'm making circular motions, creating a shape for the cloud. Don't want it to reach outside of the frame. I want all of it to be seen. Maybe like this. The bottom should be almost straight. And then on the top you have a little more things bumping out. Let's get rid of the eraser stuff. Okay. Now, taking the HB pencil again, I make some flat U shapes at the bottom of the cloud, following those very minor bumps and following the shape that I created with the eraser. Going into the volume of the cloud a little bit, leaving some blank spaces. That makes it look like there are, what would you call them, areas of the cloud that go up inside of the volume. Gives it a really nice three-dimensional shape. Okay. Now, I don't want the light to come from any particular angle, just from above. So I'm making some U shapes that are not as flat as right at the bottom. They poke out a little bit. Maybe like this. Okay, and that's the cloud done. And that means we are done with the sky. Since I want this cloud to be the center of attention in the sky. And now that means I don't know what I'm going to draw down here. I had a vague idea of what I was drawing today. I had a motif, but that's not going to work anymore, or I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll just for now block in the ground down here. Should I leave it like this? Yeah, maybe I'll leave it like that. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Let's experiment a little bit. I have something in mind now that I'm going to try out. So, for the middle right here, I'm just going to pretend that there's something going on, making a couple of random lines with the 3B pencil, indicating all sorts of elevations and stuff going on. A couple of darker lines, irregular lines, every now and then. A little bit of stuff over here, some things over there. And that's our background. Now for the midground, I want there to be a hill reaching down here. And let's have another hill, let's say, let me envision this. Maybe that goes down here. Another one over there. And maybe something down here, like this, maybe. Okay. Now I want some trees to stand on those hills, and I see that I have to make them bigger for you to see them. Last time when I drew evergreens, you really couldn't see what they look like. It's just for the very distance I just draw them like this. And you can barely even see this, but you can see the motions I'm making. There's just a tree trunk in the middle, and from that, at about 45 degrees, I draw lines that go down, all the way down. One more here, maybe one more there. Okay. Going over there, maybe. This line is a little bit. Maybe this one's tall as well. Let's make it like this. And this one as well. Make them stick out above the horizon. Okay, that means I can make those tall as well. A smaller one in between, smaller one here, a very large one there, and maybe like this over here and there. Okay. And then just the same thing. Very quick way to just sketch evergreens. Right here. This one right there. Another one right here. Let's have one more there to make this look a little bit more dense, like there's a real forest going on, just like on the left. Right, and let's continue this a little bit. Yeah, one more right here. The big one that covers a lot of ground. Okay, now give this upper line of the hill a nice and dark value. Extend the value down to the next hill, making the gradient lighter. Do the same thing on the other side with this hill. Extend it all the way down to the hill below it. Then take the smudging tool and repeat that. Just grab the graphite that's on top and pull it down with semi-horizontal motions that follow the shape of the hill. Okay, going on to the next one. That would be this one right here. Have a tree right there, one right there. I'm first indicating all the positions of the trees with some trunks. Okay, and then I'm gonna start to draw them. Same way as at the hill behind them. Just a zigzaggy line coming from the trunk all the way down to the ground. Or to just above the ground. Right there. One more over here. One is right there. Don't miss him. He's very hidden. Barely visible in front of those other trees. Maybe he's a shy one. Maybe he hides in plain sight. But since he has the same value, there's not a lot of contrast between him and the other ones, so he doesn't stick out. And right here. For this one. Okay. Let's get this hill going on as well. Make it dark at the top. And lighter towards the hill below it. Grab the smudging tool and make it smooth. Pull it down. Okay, on to the last hill right here. Now, I just had the idea of adding a nice little path that goes through this forest. So It's going to go up here, come out there, come out very flat, and then disappear behind that mountain. Okay. Maybe. Hello there. Maybe like this. All right, that means for the path to be visible, I'm not going to have trees here. I'm only going to have them maybe starting right there, and they're starting to be bigger. Now, maybe maybe this one is over here, like this. Okay, and now for the larger evergreens, let's make it even larger, like that. I make a large tree trunk, and then I just draw something like a small evergreen on the top. Then I add some branches. Just randomly add some branches. Some go down more. They go towards us. And some go to the side. And below those branches, I do a similar zigzag line. That gets smaller towards the end. Like so. You can also do this without drawing the branches in the beginning, but I think it helps to create a three-dimensional vision of the tree and where the branches go. Otherwise you tend to just make them go to the side, left and right, and then the tree looks two-dimensional. Maybe one more down here. It's not really visible behind the other tree, but yeah. And have one more right here and have it a little denser in the middle. Right there. And over here. Down here. This one's going right there. Maybe there's one more over here. Like this. And then I've got those two left. But I think I need one more for this area to the right. Right here, this looks really empty, so I'll have one go down, maybe one in the background right there, and one going down right here. one also ending here in this empty space. Okay, now make the trunk a little bigger so it can support the entire tree like that. Okay. Now let's give him a bit of company right here in the foreground. Say there's one more, maybe standing right here at the edge. Let's incorporate this trunk that we had in the beginning. And then there's another one. Maybe right there. Okay, same procedure. Just a small evergreen on the top. And then branches going out. Let me first draw all the branches that just go left and right, so you can see those. They go out a certain distance and down a certain distance. And now if the branches come towards us or they point away from us into the distance, they go down the same length, but they don't go out the same. So down the same length. Oh, this one is right overlapping with the other one. Let's have one there. Down the same length, but not out as far as this one. It just goes until here, just a little bit away from the trunk. It's foreshortened. So let's have some more of those. That really helps to create the impression of a three-dimensional tree. Okay, one's there, one here, one here. One maybe goes to this side and then bends to the other side. And maybe one more down to this point. Okay. And then we continue. I hope the video isn't shaking too much. I think it is though. My horrible setup right here. Okay, I'm not going to finish those branches to the right since they are outside of the frame. And with all the pressure I'm applying, I'm going to have some marks left on the outside of the drawing today, but I'll just roll with that. One coming down right here. This one's right there. Going down here. This one going to the side. And right here to the other side. Maybe one is pointing right down there. And one down here. Okay, make the trunk a little wider. All right. And then on to the next one. Applying the same procedure. And add the volume. Maybe one more over here. Something right there. Another branch right here. Let me use the 7B pencil for this one. Maybe it brings it out more, but I don't think so. I can't go a lot darker since pressing down with the 3B pencil is almost as dark as you can get with the 7B pencil. Of course, this gets a little darker still, but I don't think I can get out a very significant contrast. At least not so that you can distinguish those trees. I can see a little difference now between this tree and the trees in the background. So if you were standing in front of the drawing, observing it, you could see those trees being set apart, but yeah, in the stream you can't really see that, but there is a slight difference. But it's not too important, since the value is not the only thing that creates three-dimensionality in the drawing and that sets them apart. The size sets them apart as well, and I think that's what sells the impression of three-dimensionality and depth in this drawing right here. Okay, I want there to be a little more down here. This tree looks really malnourished. Not a lot of branches there, maybe a little more. Could do him well. Some more down here. And a lot more towards this side. Maybe like that. Looks a little fuller now. Okay. I think for the path in the distance, yeah, let me try and get that a little brighter. It's going to be way thicker than I want it to be, but maybe I can add a little bit of value to the edges so that it gets smaller again. But I mean, right here on my drawing it doesn't look too great, I think, but in the stream it does really look like a nice path, I think. Maybe if I make it a little bit wider down here, it sells the impression of fading into the distance a little bit more than just slightly with the HB pencil correct the edge of it. And yeah, maybe that's an okay path. Now for the foreground, how are we going to do this? First, I'll take the 3B pencil and create this hill right here. Goes right up to the path. First, just a general value for it, maybe like this, and then pull it down with the smudging tool along the path here. And then down there doesn't really work. So I'll take the HB pencil and make it all a little darker down here. Okay. I think this is better now. Now let me do the same thing for here. Since there's no hill, I'll not use the 3B pencil, but just the HB. Make the landscape, come down here. And then I'll indicate a couple of waves in this way. And I'd normally make it like this, since I want the gravel to be really light. And there would be a contrast between the gravel on the way and the dirt or ground or grass that is on the side. But maybe I can pull that off later. Let me now try to make this visible for you. So I'll give this path a light value that you're not going to see yet, but as I draw in the elevations and unevennesses in the way, you can just slightly see those. Maybe like this, and one right here. Okay, I'll just extend those down a little bit towards the elevation below them, just like drawing hills. Extend it to the next line below it. And yes, in the stream you can also see this. There are a couple of very minor elevations in the path, since it's just gravel, and from the people stepping down there are all sorts of bumps coming up in the way. Now I try to do this gravel effect. Don't know if you will be able to see it, but if I make it very, very visible on my piece of paper, maybe you can see it. So I'm making all sorts of dots at the upper area of this minor elevation, and as I go down the elevation I place less and less dots. So at the top of the elevation the value is the darkest, and as it goes down it is a little bit lighter. And I think you can see this, and maybe as I complete it for the entire path you can really see what I'm talking about. A lot up here, and then a little bit less as I approach the elevation below it. A little bit like this. If I keep the camera still, you can even see some of the dots that I'm making. Okay. Now this effect is pretty strong since I'm making it really dark so you can see it. So now it looks like there are literal hills and valleys just in this path that is more or less straight, just with those little bit of waviness in the ground, but I want to make it very visible so that you can see what I'm talking about and how I draw the gravel structure of the path. Same thing for over here. A lot of dots up here. And then fewer down here. Here as well. And then the same thing for the area where it goes over the hill. A lot of dots up here. And then a couple down there. Keep the camera still. Hope you know what I'm talking about. And this path in the distance I'm just going to leave blank. Or maybe indicate some elevation, since now it is set very, very much apart from the other part of the path that is more in the foreground. But yeah, now you don't see it anymore, and it looks really stupid on the drawing. Should have just left it. But well, I was trying to, I don't know, get it more to look more like this part in the front, but you try and you fail, and then you know. Okay, for the foreground, I want a little bit more of details going on right here in the ground. Some things grow across the path. Maybe like so. And all sorts of things going on right there. Okay. Like this, maybe. And then for a bit more detail, let's get in some grass growing there. And over here, seen on the top of the hill. Wait, this bothers me. Let me make the path in the distance lighter again. Okay. Now you can see it again, going into the distance. That's more like it. Okay. Just the grass up here. something right there, growing all the way over here. Up there. A little bit larger right here. And still larger down here. Just a bush of grass right there. And one more right here. Over there. Down here, and something going out of the frame, as always. Alright, and that's our little scene for today. Let me clean up the edges. Yep, this 3B pencil is really persistent. A little bit of it, at least if you push down on the page like I do, remains on the paper. Okay. And of course, a lot of it is going to remain here. Ah, shame. I would have liked to leave those two branches. I think those looked really good. But they have to go, since they grow out of the frame. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of what you like. Sometimes it's out of the frame. Sometimes you draw something in front of it, and then you cover something up that you really liked. You can account for this sometimes. You can plan what you place in front of some things in the background, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to let it go. But the reverse also applies, of course. If you don't like something that's in the background, you can cover it up by placing something in front of it in the foreground. You can really use that consciously to influence the outcome of your drawing. Okay, let's knock the rest of this off. It doesn't really come off when I knock it onto the desk. The rubber really sticks to the paper and I have to wipe it off. Okay. All right. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. Maybe you were productive as well. Maybe it was your afternoon activity and you were just watching, just enjoying. I don't urge you to be productive. It's totally okay to just sit down and enjoy something. just like enjoying a movie or a video game. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.